Hello, this is Toby Anderson. I want to talk to you about Star of Bethlehem in a series of videos. This one is on the ancient clues for the Star of Bethlehem. And in particular, we're going to look at an old cuneiform tablet called the K8538 Assyrian Planisphere. Anyways, this is an old cuneiform tablet that was found in Nineveh. Nineveh was founded by Noah's grandson, Shem, and so in that royal library they found this clay tablet that was round, and it was pie-shaped, and it had all sorts of constellations and stars and things like that in there. Recently a book was written by two men, Bond and Hempsel, called An Assyrian Observation of Sumerian Asteroid. The tablet itself is called K8538. That's the what they gave the number to it. What I want to point out is what the Bible says in Matthew chapter 2 verses 1 and 2, and my conclusion is that the wise men traveled from the east to the west. So it says in Matthew 2:1, Now when Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of Herod the king, behold, there came wise men from the east to Jerusalem, saying, Where is he that is born King of the Jews? For we have seen his star in the east, and are come to worship him. Point is that they came from the east to the west to get to Jerusalem. That's highlighted in red. The other side of Jerusalem is Mediterranean Sea. So wise men came by camel, they didn't came by boat. So we know that that's the direction they came from the east to the west. And here's a picture of the K8538 planisphere, Assyrian planisphere. And you'll notice that in the Pisces sector, which is in the lower right hand corner, which is also called sector 1, you will notice the stick figure. There's a triangle here, a line, and another stick figure. It looks kind of like a V with some lines going in it. And there's some writing over here. The writing over here basically says it's cloudy, and they can't see it very well. But they know that this stick figure is here, and these stick figures are constellations in the sky. One way we know that these are all constellations is this planisphere up here called the Gemini sector. This is a stick figure of the constellation Gemini right there. And some of these cuneiform writings have words talking about other constellations, such as the Great Shepherd of the heavens, which is none other than Orion. But anyways, going back to this cuneiform tablet here, this little stick figure here looks like a V. It's an ancient symbol from way back in the early I think even a pre-flood world, but basically after the flood. You'll notice it looks like a V, but it has a handle on it. So what this is a side view, if you will, of a plow. And so this is the constellation of the plow. It is the most important constellation in all of Assyria, ancient Assyria. The Assyrian word for it was apin, or apin, and the word for constellation was called mole, and so it was called the mole apin. And they found some in the same place, I believe, in several places, some tablets called the mole apin tablets, because their season started when the sun was in the mole apin, or the plow constellation. And so in these tablets, the first constellation that is described in them is the mole a pin, which is that constellation, which today we now call Pisces. And the V part of this is actually, in today's world, it's a chain here, and at the end of the chain is a fish, and then another part of the chain here, it's sort of like a V-shaped chain, is another fish. And so you have two fishes joined by a chain. That's what the mole pen tablet is today. Now the other triangle here, this is a triangle there. This is I believe, as well as a man named Zipman, who wrote a book called Egypt, Image of Heaven, that the corners of these three stars of this triangle are three stars in Pegasus. Now Pegasus today has what they even anciently had four big bright stars in each corner. And it was formed what they call the Pegasus square. But anyways, there's three of the stars of the Pegasus square are there and formed this triangle. And you'll notice at the very tip of the triangle there's 1, 2, 3, 4 dots. Those dots are what bonded Himself, and I as well believe were meteors that came and hit the earth. I think that caused the flood. They think it did something else. Bonded Himself did. There's other writings on over here in the past sector here that say that there was large stars that came and hit the earth. Anyways, don't want to get into that right now. But back to the Pisces sector. If you notice closely, there's these dots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. These 7 dots represent the 7 planets that we have today. Jupiter and Mars, Venus, Mercury, etc. These stars, they were called moving stars, but we call them today planets. And the fact that there's 7 of them shows that that's what they are. And even today as well as back then, these planets all kind of rotate around the sun and when you look up in the sky, they all kind of go in the same sphere, the same and they call it ecliptic. They all travel around the sun in the same area in the sky, called the ecliptic. So William Zipman, in his book called Egypt, Image of Heaven, he postulated that what the ancient peoples did, like Egypt, as well as other peoples like the Syrians, they looked at the constellations and mapped them to the earth. So you had an earth to land mapping. And so remember the triangle from in here on the Pisces sector from the K8538 planisphere. I show it being mapped to, this is what William Zipman does. The three cities Buto, and Hierakonpolis. Don't know if I'm saying that right. So those are the three cities in ancient Egypt, and you can see up here the Mediterranean Sea, and then you can see something called the Way of Enlil and the Horizon of Horus. Now, Horizon of Horus is an Egyptian term, and it's used throughout their writings. The Way of Enlil is, I don't know if the Egyptians use it or not. The Syrians use that. Enlil is what one of the tablets for the mole pens called Enlil. It's basically the 7 planets, and the N in Enlil means like light, shining, moving lights. Anyways, so that's that. And over here in the lower left hand corner of the display, I took a screenshot of the Skyview Cafe planetarium software online, and I highlighted the Pegasus square. Here's the 4 dots, and then the triangle that you see in the planisphere is there, and you can see the 3 dots. And then this orange line, reddish orange line here, that's the planetary ecliptic I was saying about. This is the path that the planets go through the sky. And down here is the Pisces. I guess is the V-shaped triangle thing I was trying to explain down there. So you can see how the star map constellations up here matches what we have up in the sky today. So that's on to the next page. There was a book called The Orientation of Ancient Egyptian Temples by Juan Belmont, and he has a picture of a hieroglyph inscription in the Hathor Temple in Dendera, Egypt. This is the temple which has the famous Dendera zodiac, which an author named Bullinger speaks of. And anyways, the book says that the king stretches the rope in joy with his glance toward the plow. That's that mullah pen I was telling you about, of brilliance. The brilliance part's referring to the sky, the stars. He establishes the Lady of Dendera as took place there before. Belmont says that the stretching of the rope was a ceremony performed for laying the foundation of the temple and orientating its axis. The ceremony is still done for new buildings when the ribbon is cut. That's where it came from, Egypt. The Hathor Temple then was orientated towards the plow, constellation Pisces. In other words, they knew that the planets traveled east-west. They used the constellation of Plough as a alignment tool, so that they could get reference point, so that they could get an accurate east-west orientation. I want to emphasize the importance of the constellation of Plough. I think I've already mentioned that. The constellation of Plough is called the Apen, Mole being constellation, Apen being Plough, and it's the oldest series of clay tablets in cuneiform writing which exists today, and that's what they named their clay tablets, which documented, their book of the stars. So I guess what I'm saying is that this, if you draw a line from Jerusalem on a regular map down here, now you can barely see here, but it says Jerusalem. And so if you go to the east, you'll end up somewhere near this whole territory over here. I mean, Assyrians, for thousands, hundreds and hundreds of years, had a big empire, the Assyrian Empire. And even going back right after the flood, when man started settling and spreading out, at Babel, I believe the Bible talks about in Genesis 10 and 11 how Nimrod formed his kingdom, and basically Shem, Japheth. I'm sorry, it wasn't Shem, it was Asher. Asher was the guy that founded Nineveh, and he founded the Assyrian Empire. That's why it's called Assyrian, because it's from Asher. Asher founded it. And so basically, if you go somewhere by you can see that they had, in order to get from around over to Jerusalem, you'd have to travel from the east to the west. And that, I think, is a ancient clue to where the wise men came from to find the Star of Bethlehem.